So, good day everyone. Our topic for today is about secure network design. So, here are some key terms of implementing our security policy or our security design. We need to consider the defense in depth, compartmentalization, least privilege, weakest link, separation and rotation of duties, hierarchically trusted components and protection, mediated access, accountability, and traceability. The foremost of this in this is defense in depth, where you're going to have redundancy of technical controls and security controls. You'll have multiple layers, kind of like protecting a medieval castle. Architectures are based on end-to-end security with, for example, perimeter security through secure routers, and then maybe behind that firewall system, which include the stateful package filtering and deep packet inspection, also IDS or IPS sensors, using proxies or application layer gateways, then even having hardened multi-layer switches behind that. Now, so what will be the coverage of this discussion? Of course, we need to discuss about the diagram legend, layer network design, high availability and loading balancing, modular network design. So, of course, as what we have here, no, this will be the diagram legend that we need to understand, no, because later on we have a lot of diagram, no, to be presented, and this will be the legend. Okay, so of course a router is a networking device that forwards data packets between computer networks. Routers perform the traffic directing functions on the internet. Data sent through the internet, such as web page or email, is in the form of the data packets. A network switch is networking hardware that connects devices on a computer network by using packet switching to receive and forward data to the destination device. A network switch is a multi-port network bridge that uses MAC addresses to forward data at the data link layer of the OSI model. Now, how about the multi-layer switch? It is a computer networking device that switches an OSI layer 2 like an ordinary network switch and provide extra functions on higher OIS or OSI layer. The load balancing or the load balancer or load balancing refers to efficiently distributing incoming network traffics across a group of back-end servers, also known as server farm or server pool. In this manner, a load balancer performs the following functions: distribute client requests or network load efficiently across multiple networks. How about the terminal server? It enables organization to connect devices with a serial port to a local area network. Products marketed as terminal servers can be very simple devices that do not offer any security functionality, such as data encryption and user authentication. While a firewall, no, is a network security device that monitors incoming and outgoing network traffic and decides whether to allow or block specific traffic based on a defined set of security rules. Firewalls have been a first line of defense in network security for over 25 years because a firewall can be hardware, software, or both. Excuse. How about a server? Okay? So, a server is a computer or system that provides resources, data services, or programs to other computers known as clients over a network. In theory, whenever computers share resources with client machines, they are considered servers. A terminal or workstation used to monitor and control a network either locally or remotely. The term often refers only to management software that resides in any Windows, Mac, or Linux client machine. When a person is working on a computer that's in another location, they are referred to as a remote user. Okay? These connections are made either over the internet or via a network using some of the remote access. So, how about the network intrusion detection system? Okay? So, this is the device or software applications that monitors a network for malicious activity or policy violations. Any malicious activity or violation is typically reported or collected centrally using a security information and event management system. And for the host intrusion detection system, it is an intrusion detection system that is capable of monitoring and analyzing the internals of a computing systems as well as the network packets on its network interfaces, similar to the way a network-based intrusion detection systems operate. The Virtual Private Network or the VPN provides privacy, anonymity, and security to users by creating a private network connection across a public network connection. VPNs can be used in combinations with proxy servers and overlay networks. For the crypto cluster, so that is of course at present Bitcoin, anonymity is one of the most important qualities of blockchain technology. So for example, one can simply create a Bitcoin address to send and receive funds without providing KYC to any authority. In general, the real identity behind cryptocurrency addresses is not known. However, some addresses can be clustered according to their ownership by analyzing behavioral patterns, allowing those with known attribution to be assigned labels. These labels may be further used for legal and compliance purposes to assess in law enforcement investigation. So we have here a diagram which, as you can see here, we have a switch block 1 and switch block 2. A switch block contains switching devices from the access and distribution layer. We need to consider all switch blocks then connect into the core block, providing end-to-end connectivity across the network. Switch blocks contain a balanced mix of layer 2 and layer 3 functionality as might be present. So as what we have here. Now, how about the management block? The network security management provide complete visibility into the network and generate data for assets. Actually, an asset, groupings and classification. Firewalls, applications, ports, protocols, VPNs, NAT and security policies, and vendor devices. This information drills into the details for individual devices and is analyzed. The server message block is a protocol used to share hardware and software between computers. The server allows multiple computers and devices to share network resources stored on the server, such as printers and filing system. The rule of networking is minimum access. If you are not running any servers on your LAN, no one should be initiating connection from the outside. And remote management is the first thing. So turn off the new router. No one outside my LAN, our LAN, has any business being able to alter how it works. Most routers already come set up this way and use NAT or mask guarding or network address translation to make your LAN's outgoing traffic appear to be coming from a single IP addresses. NAT was invented as the way to mitigate the limitation of 32-bit IPv4 address space but it's one of the simplest and most effective security measure you can use. The proper way to do is to have the router default deny everything. And if and only if you are running a service that needs to be accessible from the outside, open to those specific ports to the one side. Any other incoming packets are fated to splat against your firewall like a bug on a freeway windshield at 70 mph. Other causes resulting in blocked internet access include virus or malware entering your PC can change your browser and network settings, leaving you with an error message and no internet access. Any popular reason leading to blocked internet access is network driver issues. The access layer. It is the level where most computers are connected to the network. Users' network cables are then terminated into such an access layer device where they are connected to each user on the local network. Typically, virtual LANs or VLANs are implemented to separate broadcast domains on the access layer. Traditionally, the primary function of an access layer switch is to provide network access to the user. Access layer switches cannot to distribution layer switches to perform network foundation functions such as routing, quality of service, and security. So, what are the characteristics of access layers? Low cost per port, high port density, uplink to higher layers, and provide layer 2 services. So, security design, identify base network services. As I mentioned earlier, VLAN and PVLAN segregation, rate limiting, management encryption, and physical isolations. The best practices for access layer, ports without need to track should be set to off rather than auto. Limit each port to a limited number of MAC addresses to 5. Configure Storm broadcast control, turn off telnet, and limit SNMP access to the switches, and logging to external server. How about the distribution layer? The distribution layer aggregates the data received from the access layer switches before it is transmitted to the core layer for routing to its final destination. In this figure, the distribution layer is a boundary between the layer 2 domains and the layer 3 routed network. The distribution layer of the network is the demarcation point between the access and core layer and helps to define and differentiate the core. The purpose of this layer is to provide boundary definition and is the place at which packet manipulation can take place. So this will be the characteristics of a distribution layer. So for security, access control list, span ports for IDS, and physical isolations. And this will be the best practices in distribution layer. How about the network core? The network core or core layer is the trusted domain of a single organization. It includes network devices that typically only have internal or trusted interfaces that are wholly within and controlled by a single group or administrative domain. The core layer is a high-speed backbone that should be designed to switch packets as quickly as possible to optimize communication transport within the network. The core layer should not perform any packet manipulation such as checking access lists or filtering, which would slow down the switches of packet. So this will be the characteristics of the core layer. No expensive layer 3 processing, very high throughput, no unnecessary packet manipulation, resiliency, which is very important, and high availability. So when it comes to security, physical isolations. For the best practices, okay, disable all unused ports. You limit the MAC addresses on the port to no MAC address when possible. Turn off telnet and limit SNMP access to the switches. Logging to external server. The high availability load balancing. So, high availability in the context of IT operations, it refers to a system or a network or a server array of cluster that is designed to avoid loss of service by reducing or managing failures and minimizing planned downtime. So, the most important things that we need to know about this high availability of load balancing, no? When we say load balancing, it is a computer networking method to distribute workload across multiple computers or a computer cluster, network links, central processing units, disk drive, or other resources to achieve optimal resource utilization, maximize throughput, minimize response time, and avoid overload. Using multiple components with load balancing instead of a single component may increase reliability through redundancy. The high availability is a system design, approach, and associated service implementation that ensure a pre-arranged level of operational performance will be met during a contractual measurement period. You need also to consider the disaster recovery. In this process, this is the process, policies, and procedures that are related to preparing for recovery or consultation of technology infrastructures which are vital to an organization after a natural or human-induced disaster. A disaster recovery is a subset of business continuity. So while business continuity involves planning for keeping all aspects of a business functioning in the midst of disruptive events, disaster recovery focuses on the IT or technology system that support business functions. It's often the case that load balancing, high availability, and disaster recovery lapses don't surface until it's too late. In one of the provider of cloud, no, specifically the secure CenturyLink, they can do to architect their platform for maximum availability and resiliency, and their customers still retain responsibility for deploying their system in a manner that meets their performance and business continuity needs. They are eager to talk to the customers on how to validate their existing cloud application or design a new solutions that can function at cloud scale. How about this management block? Or the management block or the security management is the identification of an organization's asset, including people, building, machines, systems, and information asset, followed by the development, documentation, and implementation of policies and procedures for protecting assets. A network security management allows an administrator to manage a network consisting of physical and virtual firewalls from one central location. Any misconfiguration can make the network vulnerable to sophisticated threats and regulatory non-compliance. The information security management is understood as a tool of the information confidentiality, availability, and integrity assurance. An effective information security management system reduces the risk of crisis in the company, and it also allows to reduce the effects of the crisis occurring outside the company. So what are the key devices of the security management? Firewalls, of course. That is the software programs or hardware device that filter and examine the information coming through your internet connection. They represent a first line or defense because they can stop a malicious program or attacker from gaining access to your network and information before any potential damage is done. The NIDS analyze the flow of information between computers. Example, network traffic. They essentially sniff the network for suspicious behavior. Thus, NIDS or NIDS can detect a hacker before he's able to make unauthorized intrusion, where HID won't know anything is wrong until the hacker has already breached the system. A host-based intrusion detection system, or HIDS, is an intrusion detection system that is capable of monitoring and analyzing the internals as a computing system as well as the network packets on its network interfaces, similar to the way a network-based intrusion detection system operates. A network-based intrusion detection system detects malicious traffic on a network. Needs usually required Prometheus network access in order to analyze all traffic, including all unicast traffic. Needs are passive devices that do not interfere with the traffic they monitor. The host identifier refers to the remaining numbers available after you subnet the IP addresses. For instance, if the network is 192.168.00 with a 24-bit subnet task, you can have up to 254 usable network host addresses. A syslog has the option to log a remote server and to act as a remote log server. With a remote logging server, you can archive your logs and keep them secure. Syslog is a standard for sending and receiving notification message in a particular format from various network devices. The messages include timestamps, event messages, severity, host IP addresses, and diagnostic, and many more. The inbound or the outbound management. The out-of-bound network management is a concept that uses an alternate communication path to manage network infrastructure devices. These alternate paths are designed to isolate management traffic from operational traffic. The isolation prevents compromised user devices or malicious network traffic from impacting network operations or compromising network infrastructure. Implementing these alternate paths can vary in configuration from virtual tunneling to a physical segmented network infrastructure. Out-of-band management creates a framework that enables administrators to improve the security of their network by segmenting management traffic from operational traffic and ensuring that the management traffic only comes from the out-of-band communication path. The Secure File Transfer Protocol, or the FTP, with strong encryption algorithm and key sizes. NSA also recommends never managing any device over an untrusted network, which include the operational network without a strong virtual private network. Never should a network device management interface be directly accessible from the internet. So, in inbound, only management traffic, different address space than production network, of course, the NAT, the encryption, and the firewall security. So, best practices only use inbound management when necessary. Okay? PVLAN, segregation among hosts in management block. Periodic log revision is advised. Configuration baseline established and periodic baseline checking. So this will be the threats mitigated. So as what we have here, only use inbound management when necessary. So when? Okay. When unauthorized access, man is in the middle attacks, and network reconnaissance. For VPLAN, packing, sniping, and compromised hosting. For periodic configuration and periodic base, hacking attempts going unnoticed. The server block. See? Often referred to as Nix virtual hosts are a feature of a Nix web server that allows you to host multiple websites on one server. As opposed to setting up and configuring a server for each domain, hosting a number of websites on a single machine saves both time and money. So, K devices, we discussed it already, the different K devices for the server block. The best practices, of course, backup policy, service redundancy, version control. This will be the threats mitigated for a server blocks. One block or one blocking. Prevent internet control message protocol pings to the wide area network side of the SBG6580. Multicast enable allows you multicast specific traffic to pass to our PCs on the private network. The UPnP enable turns on the universal plug and play protocol agent in the gateway. The wide area network port, also known as the internet port, or a one port is used to connect to an internet source such as broadband modem. The one allows the router to connect to the internet and share the connection with all the Ethernet ready device to it. So what are the key devices for the one block? So firewalls, NIDs, and routers. So best practices, data encryption, access list implementation, and the high availability through different providers. Threats mitigated, of course, for data encryption, data theft, man-in-the-middle attack. For the access list, IP spoofing, unauthorized access. For high availability trust, that is this, DOS. Internet block. In telecommunication, a network that has fewer transmission paths than would be required if all users were to communicate simultaneously. Blocking networks are used because not all users required service simultaneously. Other causes resulting in blocked internet access include virus or malware entering your PC can change your browser and network setting leaving you with an error message and no internet access. Okay? If you are in black, of course, select the tools icon and choose internet option. You scroll down to the security tab and right click the restricted sites. Highlight the filters you want to unblock and select remove. Finish by clicking OK to save the new setting. Restart your computer to apply the new setting. The key elements, firewalls, HIDs and NIDs, VPN connector, HTTP servers, and DNS servers. Best practices, security policy with ISP, no corporate server at this point, high availability through different ISP and VPN for remote access. Threats mitigated, of course, for security policy with ISP, IP spoofing. For private VLAN, packet sniffing, and compromised host spoofing. For firewall, hacking attempt going to unnoticed. For high availability, of course, DDoS. For VPN, that is unauthorized access. For internet block. Now, again, in network security design, we need to consider the defense in depth. No, you can you consider the, as I mentioned, defense in depth, levels of risk, managing risk, wherein no our risk management become much more complicated issue when we have thousands of assets with different valuations, both quantitative and qualitative value of different levels of vulnerability. So, it's a delicate balance of various variables and factors that have constant need to be tuned. So, that's it for today. I hope that you are now understand on how you'll be able to implement our security policy or our security design by defense in depth, compartmentalization, least privilege, weakest link, separation and rotation of duties, hierarchically trusted components and protection, mediated access, and accountability and traceability. So this will be our references. Then, thank you for listening and watching. God bless everyone.